population.
And several key races, including here in Colorado, are still undecided after last week's election, where the count for Congressional District 3 stands this morning as current members of Congress head back to work with a big agenda ahead.
The Broncos country is not thrilled after another loss, this time against Tennessee. The response and feedback from fans, hearing the excuses as the L's keep stacking up in the loss column.
They need to take the $245 million away from Wilson and give him $2.45.
I love how creative our callers get.
At least they're doing something with their misery. You know, you gotta give them credit. Like, they are very descriptive.
Yes.
And they are describing how we feel. And there's Empower Field this morning, still standing, Lisa.
Yeah. Exactly. Sun still rising, but our temperatures are kind of like our scores on the low side. Right now we're at 18 degrees in Denver. It feels like just 8 degrees out there. Mostly sunny skies, but it is going to be a slow warm up for us today on this Monday. Arvada, you're right now at 22, 14 in Golden. Right now 12 in Ward and 4 in Bailey. So a cold start, sunny skies though, and we're going to get into the mid to upper 30s today. You'll find upper 30s both today and tomorrow. There's a slight chance, obviously a lot of sunshine out there right now, but tonight we're going to see a little increase in cloud cover. And after the commute, there is going to be a chance for a little light snow. We'll take a closer look at this futurecast coming up here in just a few minutes. This will be our first of 2 chances of snow, Jason, this week. Details coming up.
If you want to see snow, you can go west or you can go south of Colorado Springs and Pueblo. You can see from the 2 different cameras. This is up near the Eisenhower-Johnson Tunnel. We've had on and off traction and chain laws up that way. This is south of Pueblo, where you see some slow traffic on some of the slick I-25 portions because of several crashes we've had down that way. Take a look at the drive here in town. It's all about a crash southbound I-25 at 84th. Left lane, left shoulder, and that express lane, as you can see from the camera, has been blocked up. And so we're still waiting for these cars to get towed away. It's been a long process to get any activity, any tow trucks in here to haul it out of here. So it's this extended closure that remains for us, and that's why the drive times are ridiculous right now, over an hour, all the way back to before 128th Avenue. So it's just rock solid. So instead of sitting in there, side streets are a better option. Now, the farther away you get from I-25 heading south, the better off you are going to be, especially if you can get to the west and get down to Highway 36 and then join southbound I-25. You'll save yourself a whole bunch of time.
We want to get you updated on a couple of breaking news stories we're following. There was a big response to a reported stabbing in Denver this morning. Air Tracker 7 was over a home where it happened in the 2500 block of South Irving Street. One victim was hospitalized. We're still working to get information on a suspect.
Also breaking this morning, 3 people are dead and 2 others are hurt in a shooting on the campus of the University of Virginia. Multiple law enforcement agencies are looking for the shooter, and we have now learned that the suspect and at least one of those killed were members of the Virginia football team. UVA police identified the suspect as Christopher Darrell Jones. The university issued an alert warning students to shelter in place after reports of a shooting near a parking garage on campus. In the wake of the shooting, the university president says classes are canceled today.
Tonight, Denver Public Schools will hear from the community about its plan to close schools.
Denver 7's Brandon Richard is live near Emily Griffith High School. Brandon, what can you tell us about some parents' plan to protest ahead of tonight's meeting?
Well, Danny, you know that DPS originally wanted to close 10 schools, but backed off. Now the district says they only want to close 5. However, as you can imagine, many parents are upset about the possibility of closing any schools. So we know that some of them plan to show up here to the Board of Education tonight in order to protest. Now, tonight will also mark the first time that many school board members will be able to hear directly from the public. The board will be holding a public comment session tonight to get the opinion from the community about these planned closures, and we know a lot of people expect to speak. The district wants to close the following 5 schools: Denver Discovery School, Schmidt Elementary, Fairview Elementary, the International Academy of Denver at Harrington, and the Math and Science Leadership Academy. Now, DPS says part of the problem is they have to take millions of dollars away from other schools just to support these schools with low enrollment. Diana Kessel is a parent of a Palmer Elementary student. Now, Palmer was on that original list. It has since been taken off. Even so, she and others remain concerned.
It's the uncertainty of, like, what are we talking about? Are we safe till the end of the year? And then do we get the engagement from the community and the support that we need to continue to keep the school open?
So you can see there that she and many other parents have a lot of questions. Now, in a letter that was released to the community on Friday, the superintendent said that he understands why so many families are frustrated, but he says the district must act now in order to avoid having to take more drastic measures in the future. Now, tonight's meeting with that public comment session will start at 4:30. The board is expected to vote on the school closures this coming Thursday. We're live downtown. Brandon Richard, Denver 7.
All right, thank you, Brandon. And it's not just DPS. Last Thursday, Jeffco's school board, of course, voted to close 16 schools. Aurora is also closing schools. And there's been a lot of talk about what to do with those empty buildings. Well, tonight, Aurora families will get to weigh in on two of those schools, Paris and Sable Elementaries. There's a virtual meeting tonight and two more in-person meetings Tuesday and Wednesday. I looked at the survey Aurora Public Schools is putting out, and they're considering several possible uses for these school buildings after they close, including residential or commercial uses.
Denver City Council is voting tonight to finalize the 2023 budget. The proposal from Mayor Michael Hancock is nearly $4 billion total. $611 million of that would go to all safety departments, including the police. And for the first time in years, it would actually include funding to recruit officers. $254 million would go toward affordable housing and programs directed at ending homelessness, although many advocates say that's not enough to help.
Well, this morning, the race for Colorado's 3rd congressional district hasn't changed since Friday. I checked the numbers with the Secretary of State's office. Representative Lauren Boebert is still leading her Democratic challenger, Adam Frisch, by 1,122 votes. If the race ends with one of the candidates winning within a half a percentage point, it would trigger an automatic recount. Now, some dates to keep in mind. Wednesday is the deadline for all military and overseas ballots to arrive, as well as the deadline to correct any ballots with mistakes. Once the ballots have been counted, an audit will begin over the weekend to make sure the results match paper ballots.
Well, the new Congress elected last week does not take over until January, but the current Congress is back in session for the first time since September. Denver 7's Joe St. George is in Washington breaking down the big items on their agenda.
The time after an election and before the new Congress takes over is known as a lame duck period, in which departing members can clean out their offices or look for new jobs. Major bills don't usually pass. The reality, though, is this current Congress is poised to not be so lame. In fact, there's a lot of important political debates that are set to take place for the coming weeks. Issue number 1, fund the government. On December 16th, government funding runs out, and while a government shutdown isn't likely because a divided government is expected over the next 2 years, there will be a push by Democrats to get as many things as possible in the spending bill. For instance, some Democrats want to raise the debt ceiling substantially so a fight doesn't happen in the months ahead. Others want a version of the expanded child tax credit reinstated and substantial funding for Ukraine. Issue number 2, a same-sex marriage vote. A bill that would require states to recognize marriages that were legal where they were performed has already passed the House, and a vote is expected in the Senate. 10 Republicans would have to join 50 Democrats to pass the landmark legislation. Supporters believe this is needed because they fear a conservative-leaning Supreme Court could revisit the issue. Issue number 3, protecting the 2024 presidential election. We all remember the last time Congress certified presidential election results. An attack took place. People died. For months, Republicans and Democrats have been meeting to create reforms so the certification process is clearer. It clarifies the vice president has a ceremonial role, and it also makes it harder for states and members of Congress to object to results. And finally, issue number 4, defense bill and hurricane help. If you live in a military town, the annual defense bill is a big deal. It impacts raises for troops and infrastructure at bases. Congress is also expected to vote on a massive hurricane relief bill for Florida. Many communities will be rebuilding for years after Hurricane Ian. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
Still ahead, Aurora is circling back on a plan for a resource center to help get people off the streets. We'll tell you what's included.
And when state health leaders say you need to get that updated COVID booster to be protected for Thanksgiving.